Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope everything is going well. I thought I'd jump online real quick. It's been a little while to talk about having clear call to actions in your email marketing and other endeavors. Now, before I get too far, I'm going to double check as I always do to make sure everything is streaming properly. Looks like it is. Got sound. All right, we're good to go. So if you hop on and let me know you're here live, say hi or something like that. Tell me what you got going on for the weekend. I've got lots to do. I don't know about you. But anyway, I wanted to talk about having like I said, a clear call to action. And by that, I mean, I've seen the trend, and even I've done it, where in, let's say, our email marketing, we'll have like step one, do this, step two, do this, step three, whatever. And I think some things are getting lost in translation. In fact, I'm going to share my screen here in a moment. If you are a Kajabi user, you probably have gotten a pop up from them that asks about pipelines and funnels. And they want you to say, like, what's the most important thing, right? Well, they have two clear calls to action. One is to respond with your thoughts, and then the second one, if you read it closely, is a little link to schedule an appointment with them. So already there's two things to do. And I thought, man, this is so appropriate because it's not clear that if I submit, I write my answers and submit, do I lose the ability to schedule an appointment with them, which I did. So automatically, it's an either or scenario, but it's not clear that that's what they are really intending. And so, just they proved my case right there for me as I was preparing for this, that sometimes our subsequent call to actions get lost, and so maybe it would have been better to break that down. Hindsight to say, hey, tell me your three things that you want, 3 to 5 things that are important. And then on the thank you page, then say, thank you for submitting your answer. If you would like to schedule additional time with us, then do so. That way, you have both opportunities presented to the person, and you aren't losing out from maybe getting more feedback. So the same thing is true with our emails. And we all do it. Let's say we have a welcome email sequence. Someone purchases our product. We say, hey, welcome, hallelujah, great to see you. You're here. Now, I want you to join the Facebook group. I want you to download this and blah, blah, blah. And whatever appeals to us the most is the one thing that we're probably going to do. And that is unfortunate because the other things are probably equally important. And we want to make sure we don't lose the reader. But I think it does ourselves a disservice by not spacing it out. So even I'm going back and looking at some of my emails, and this came about when I was evaluating one of my one-on-one clients' email system, or some of the things that she was writing in her nurture sequence, and like I say, the welcome sequence. And I was like, you're not going to know, one, you as the owner aren't going to know what they click if you're a Kajabi user. And I'll explain that a little bit more in a moment. But the second part of it is most people, when they click on something, especially if it takes them out or away from a page or from the email, they aren't going to return back to it to do steps 2, 3, or whatever. So just like in the pop-up that Kajabi provided, in which they ask you some questions, and then maybe what do you call it? Um, had 2 calls to action. A better response would be what you really want, and then thank you, that if they don't do it, I'm not going to maybe like cry about it, but it's still another thing for them to do. So for those that haven't used lead pages, Lead Pages is all about getting leads, and they provide a service and what have you. I used to use them. I really like Lead Pages, but nevertheless, I just found that I don't think I needed them. But one of the things that they offered, I remember distinctly, was this page that, let's say you opted into something, and it clearly was like this image that had like 1, 2, and 3. And as you clicked on one, it really took you to a whole nother page that looked the exact same, but then you were on step 2, and then the next thing was step 3, so that the person completed all the process. And so I would suggest, and I'm playing devil's advocate, you would need to test this, that it's better to have subsequent actions on separate pages versus maybe all these steps in an email, or all the steps on one landing page or sales page, that it may serve you better. Now, for my Kajabi users, it's even more important that you separate them out. And I'm going to show you again in a moment. Because in Kajabi's email, the stats that you get when someone clicks on an email is not per link. So if I have 3 things in my 3 call to actions in my email, Kajabi does not break it down that so that you know that you had 2 clicks for link number 1, and then 1 click for link number 2, and so on and so forth. It's really just, did they click any link in your email? So while your stats will give you or reflect a link per mailbox, and that's important, per mailbox, it won't tell you what was really clicked. Now, if you're using like a traditional email provider, ActiveCampaign is the one I use, Drip, MailChimp, all those other kind of things, you will be able to see the details of the what was clicked, not just that something was clicked. And that becomes very important because if you're not separating them out, it will help you to determine what is typically the most important things that people are clicking on. So let's say you had steps 1, 2, and 3, and you really needed them to do steps 1, but most of the people are clicking step 2. You're not going to know that. So it's very important that you separate those out. It would be better to have separate emails with different URLs. So you could have the URL multiple times. So by that, what I mean is, let's say I'm welcoming somebody and I want them to join the Facebook community, right? I might have a link to the Facebook URL, and then further down, I might have some more text, and then I might have a button to the Facebook URL. But all links in that email are only to one place, not to 3 different places. That way you have better stats on what's working and what's not. So I'm going to share my screen quickly here, and I will bring up what I'm talking about. So the first thing I want to show, let's show this screenshot. I know that looks a little crazy. This was the pop-up that you might see um, from Kajabi. And this is what I was saying is like they're asking you for the email, but right here is this meet. Well, I copied the link and I did schedule the appointment, but once I hit the submit, everything went away. And so most people will probably do this, but they're losing out on the opportunity to have more feedback um, by having it kind of 2-in-1 versus having it on the thank you page. So let me click over here. So the other thing I wanted to show was sort of some of the stats. Now this is from a pipeline. I'll get in here real quick. This is like in my test account, this is all bogus information. Here's an opt-in, subscribes them to an email sequence of which I only opened and clicked one email. This was doing my testing. So if I click on the view stats, and then I go over to my email sequences, it says I have 3 sends and 2 opens. Well, it's technically that's correct. So I was kind of testing. So I will add this to the comments or description section. But if you're not familiar with that hack where you can use one email address but kind of switch it up, and I think this only works for Google, I actually did have 3 sends. So let's say my email address is abc@gmail.com. But that's the only email address I have, but I want to test, keep subscribing to it. So I could put ABC like +99@gmail.com or ABC plus ABC@gmail.com. And all of the email in general will see it as a different email subscriber, but it all comes to the same mailbox as abc@gmail.com. So it's a quick hack on how to keep continually testing email sequences without having like a zillion email addresses. However, these stats that are in here are only per mailbox, something to keep in mind as you're testing. And so this was my test account. So here I had 3 sends because one time I did, like I said, the ABC plus 99. And so I did 3 times, even though per mailbox, I actually clicked twice. So having said that, when I look at that same email sequence, these are my stats. Like these are the details of that same email sequence, 3 sends. But in all honesty, now it was 100% click. Now I'm not going to mix apples and oranges because I know that there's really 2 mailboxes of which I opened the emails for all 3 sends. So it's kind of misleading, but this was my test case. So in normal circumstances, you would get accurate results. What you don't get in Kajabi specifically is that I can't tell what was clicked. So in this email, and this is some bogus email I made up, I have 3 steps. I'm going to buy an Apple computer. I'm going to go buy a GoPro, and then I'm going to join the Facebook community. But I don't know which one they clicked. So it's more important to separate out, I believe, and not have these multiple step emails because they can, they kind of hurt your stats because you don't really know what's working and what's not. And the more emails or pages, like you might make a page that has step 1, step 2, step 3, and then walks them through the process at each iteration so that they can continue to get the information that you're wanting them to actually walk through. So I just wanted everyone to be aware, let's see, that it's important to kind of segment out these things. Make sure you know your stats. stats. And if you are doing multiple call to actions, I'm saying segment them out. Test though. It may be that your people stay in your email and get through all the steps or on a page, but I'm going to stand by that it's working against you. And I say that in love, and that it's probably hurting me too, because I too have had those multi step call to actions in emails. And when I look at other marketers, the people that have multi-million dollar marketing campaigns and products, even though they might have high ticket items, they have a single call to action. So that's it for Friday. And comment, let me know, are you using multi-step, or are you using say single call to actions? Otherwise, I will talk to you later, and have a great weekend.